And there's the crowd from Fukuoka. And we go into our first bout of day 11, which is between Otsukasa, 150 kilos, in his back in his third Makuuchi tournament. Otsukasa means the imperial official, slightly unusual name, although the Tsukasa bit comes from the stable. And there, Otsukasa, trembling on the brink of the edge, gets tapped over the edge by Takanowaka. Tsukiotoshi, thrust drop, and 7 wins for Takanowaka and a 6th loss for Otsukasa. So as I was saying, the Tsukasa bit comes from tends to be a name used by his stable, the Arumagawa stable, that actually means imperial government official. Slightly unusual. On to our next bout between Oginishiki and Kaiho. Oginishiki, very supple, looks supple, doesn't look as though he's got a lot of muscle on him. He's only 135 kilos. Kaiho even lighter at 125, but Kaiho skillful, tricky, and look at that, there's a judo. Well, that's in judo that's a uchigari, but in sumo it's simply uchigake. Well, that's slightly unusual, but that's evidence of the skill of this very lightweight wrestler. He's only 125 kilos, and that gives him his 7th win, which levels him up with his score that he had in the previous basho. So still a few more matches to go, so no doubt he'll improve on that. Kotonowaka, heavy, 173 kilos against Tokitsuumi, only at 131, some 40 kilos difference between the two of them. Well, that's 88 pounds of fighting body weight difference between the two. You can see the difference in height. Kotonowaka's fought Tokitsuumi 3 times previously and won 2 of them. Tokitsuumi there trying the kirikaishi, that's the knee behind the knee technique that often used to destabilize the wrestler. There you see it again. Hasn't quite made up his mind what he wants to do with that knee. It's going front and back. And there's a one-arm throw from Kotonowaka. Well, that was an uwatenage, an overarm throw. There's one of the differences between sumo and judo. You don't have to throw them on their back, so a one arm is quite sufficient to throw an opponent, whereas in judo you need 2 hands normally to turn them so that they land on their back. Now, Kotoryu in his 401st sumo bout. That's right from the start, of course, not just Makuuchi. Here fighting Kyokutenho. These two have fought 7 times before. Kotoryu's got the edge on Kyokutenho. He's got 4 wins. Both almost exactly the same weight, 144 kilos. And that was a nice win from Kotoryu. 144 kilos, just about 22 stone. Don't look so big, but then it's all relative. Of course, they look small compared with Akebono and Masashi Maru, but they're extraordinarily large. Now Takatoriki fights Aminishiki. Aminishiki, son of a fisherman. Takatoriki, 33 years old. Been in Makuuchi Sumo since 1990. Came into Pro Sumo. He started in 83. So that's 17 years he's been doing this. Extraordinarily long career. So there's another win, although he needed that one. 2 wins so far with that one for Takatoriki against 9 losses. And that was the 10th loss for Aminishiki, who, as we know, has been suffering from an injury right from the start. Now, Tosanoumi fights Chiyotenzan. Both around the 150 kilo mark. So you hear the referee saying there, teoroshite, that means get your hands down. They've got to touch 2 hands down before they start. And if they jump the gun, it's mata rather, which means stop. Brings them back again. So head charges there from Chiyotenzan. Both wrestlers, hips pulled well back, makes it difficult for the other wrestler to get a grip on the belt. But Tosanoumi there, locks on. But some doubt there as to the end. No, it's Chiyotenzan in the silvery grey Mawashi who picks that win up. So 5th win for Chiyotenzan, 6th loss for Tosanoumi. Winning wrestler, of course, stays in the corner there to assist the oncoming wrestler. One of their duties, although the losing wrestler doesn't do that. which case quite often it's done by one of the yobidashi, one of the attendants. Now, Kyokushuzan against Toki. Mongolia against Mr. Sideburns. Toki's been in this Makuuchi since 1998, never won a tournament prize. Kyokushuzan's won one. They're much like these two wrestlers, they're very recognizable. Kyokushuzan used to be known as the great technician. It was thought he'd, well, look at that. They do go down from these. The design of this dohyo is extraordinary, really. They've got this sloping edge, and when they go off it, it's like, it's a bit like a champagne cork coming out of a bottle. They really go flying. And Kyokushuzan there, winning that one. He's already got Makikoshi, unfortunately, but that was the 6th loss for Toki. Akinoshima, man who's won 19 tournament prizes, which means he's won quite a lot of money. Here fighting Wakanoyama, who he's beaten 6 times. Wakanoyama has never beaten Akinoshima. Well, Wakanoyama's got 7 losses. If he loses this one, that will give him his Makikoshi. So both wrestlers, heads in tight, trying to play the arm fight there. Akinoshima, those prizes mean that he's had a lot of really good results in tournaments. He's got a lot of technique. He's short, he's squat, 150 kilos. It's a lot of kilos per centimetre of height. Well, there's a win. It's a yorikiri from Akinoshima. So that's his 7th win now over Wakanoyama. You can see the remains of the shoulder operation he had, which actually took him out of top-class sumo for a while, a few years ago. Now, Tochisakae in his second Makuuchi tournament. Came into sumo in 1993. It's taken him 7 years to get up this high. Against Wakanosato, who's been in and out of the Makuuchi division. He was out for something like 28 bashos. But, sorry, not Wakanosato. Correction there. Wakanosato came up into the Makuuchi in 98. So strong wrestler, but he's been recovering from a lot of injuries. Certainly seems to have made a full recovery. So that was Wakanosato's 5th win. Tochinohana. Now he's not doing at all well. If he loses this one, that will give him Makikoshi. And of course, Komusubi rank. That means he'll drop down next time round to Maegashira. So full start there. Tochinohana looking at Higonoumi as if to say, well, come on, mate, we could have started then. So both about the 150 kilo mark. Higonoumi pulls him down. Tochinohana having trouble recovering from that. And that's it. That's Makikoshi for Tochinohana. So back he goes down to the Maegashira ranks. Well, they find their level at some point, and then to move out of that level, it's just years of solid training and competition. Now, Takanonami has had 1 win so far. Well, we know his ankles are bad. Sekiwaki, he'll get demoted if he's not careful. Well, he will get demoted. Hamanoshima here, 120 kilos, much lighter. These two have fought 9 times. And Takanonami, well, there was a brief pause there. Takanonami thought he'd won, and he's looking at the sand, the brushed sand on the edge, just on the outside edge of the circle, as if to say, well, look, I'm sure he was out. He was looking to see if there was a mark there. That's what it's for. You see, he looks again. So that was an interesting bout. So Takanonami there gets his 2nd win against 9 losses, and that was the 9th loss for Hamanoshima. Well, these two coming up, Dejima and Tochinohana, have been rivals since their school days. Both started sumo very young at school. And that's a win there. That's 9th win that Dejima's had over Tochinohana. Tochinohana's only ever beaten him once. So they consider, or maybe Tochinohana considers himself Dejima's rival, but it doesn't seem as if Dejima considers it that way round. Right, there's the local crowd being cheered on in support of their lad, Kaiho. Well, it's the man who won the tournament this year after a long 6 years trying to get up to Ozeki rank. Suddenly came good, and he won the tournament in May this year. Here fighting Musayama. They fought 32 times before. Kaiho's won most of them, and that's another one. So Kaiho now with 9 wins and 2 losses. 5th loss for Musayama. He certainly looks comfortable these days, Kaiho. He's certainly settled into his Ozeki rank. He looks stronger, looks more powerful. Once had a drink problem, seems to have conquered it. But a lot of these wrestlers are expected to drink, so it's not uncommon for them to drink so much. Now, newcomer, Kotomitsuki against Musashi Maru. Well, Kotomitsuki's got 9 wins. Musashi Maru's got 9 wins. 1 loss apiece. Kotomitsuki, one-time world champion. Tamiya, fought under the name of Tamiya. That's his family name, which he would do. He'd fight under his own name as an amateur. Recent World Amateur Sumo Championships, Japan placed 2nd to Germany. Germans won the team event and took most of the medals. Well, that's another full start. So amateur sumo not doing so well these days against the gaijin, the foreigners. But this is Japanese pro sumo. It's a bit different here. Musashi Maru comes out hard, absorbs Kotomitsuki's atari. The shock there, but Kotomitsuki pushing in hard. Head to Musashi Maru's chest. He's got him on the run. Musashi Maru settles down, stops the charge backwards. But Kotomitsuki is skillful. We've seen some amazing techniques off him so far, and he's determined. He's locking in tight from this stalemate here. He'll break and he'll do something different, that's for sure. It's a massive trial of strength here between these two. The newcomer against the Yokozuna, 216 kilos against 150 kilos. So Kotomitsuki there, pushing up there, keeps his elbow high. That's denying Musashi Maru his grip. Now he's locking in tight, trying to get his right hand on. Can't quite see what he's got on the other side, but it looks strong. Now Musashi Maru leaning on him. This is his tactic with some of the smaller wrestlers. He just leans in. He's looking to exhaust them. But these amateurs do train hard. There's no doubt about it. Some say they even train harder than the... And there he pulls down. So neatly judged. So brilliantly done there. Kotomitsuki could feel Musashi Maru's overcommitment of weight forward. He leant in against him, and then when he felt the moment was right, he just pulled back, and that was enough to drop Musashi Maru down to the ground. So that's a kimboshi. That's a win against the Yokozuna for Kotomitsuki. Well, what an amazing debut for this ex-amateur champion. This is only his first real Makuuchi division tournament. And here he is beating the best in the shape of Musashi Maru. Well, there's the opening gripping, fighting for maneuver. And Kotomitsuki there gets the belt. Grip is broken by Musashi Maru. But there the mukosuke, that's the head under the chin position from Kotomitsuki, tends to force Musashi Maru's head up high. And then there's the pull down. He just pulls away. He's got a hand grip on the front of the belt, and that's enough to send Musashi Maru down to the ground. So that changes the two positions there in their race for the Emperor's Cup. Kotomitsuki marginally ahead now. And now Takanohana against Miyabiyama. These two have fought 5 times previously. Takanohana's won 5 of them. Takanohana's already had 2 losses, as has Miyabiyama. So they're behind Kotomitsuki, and they're leveling up with Musashi Maru, depending on what happens in this particular bout. So Miyabiyama trying hard, perhaps inspired by Kotomitsuki in the previous bout, but there's a display of the old mastery from the man who's won 20 tournaments in the past. We know that if he gets his 2 hands on the belt, he's almost unstoppable, and that's exactly what happened there. 2 hands on the belt, and then that was the end of Miyabiyama. So the boxing and coxing at the start there, and then once the hands go in on those silk belts, there it is. That's the moment of truth for Miyabiyama. And there's that little tilt over to one side at the end there. They never push them straight out. They get them to the edge, and then they just tilt them over one way. Now, the third of the Yokozuna fights. This time it's Chiyotenzan against Akebono. Well, can Akebono keep his run going? He's seen Musashi Maru lose. These two have fought 10 times. Akebono's won 6. Tremendous slam from Chiyotenzan, but he didn't move. Akebono just powers him backwards, kept hustling. rocking him side to side. And that was straight out there. Second loss for Chiyotenzan. And 10th win for Akebono. So that puts Akebono along with Kotomitsuki in the front there. Well, let's watch that one again. So from the slam, from the Atari, it was a one-way ticket for Chiyotenzan, straight out and backwards. So at the end of day 11, we've got Akebono in the lead, along with Kotomitsuki, along with 10 wins and 1 loss. But stay with us, we'll be back very shortly for more sumo.